finally, that's probably the sentiment that Roma fans are feeling. The Calcio Guys, Gianni, Adriano, and Nicholas. You could follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts from. Episode 247, guys. So we're approaching 250. But before we get into all the negative stuff with Roma, I got to ask you guys, how's it going?
Could be better for me.
Could be better for me. No, I'm good. It's good to be back. 247 of the Calcio Guys is crazy, man. Nick posted a picture in our Calcio Guys chat of 6 years ago back at CJO. It's time flies, like Jenny said. So happy to be back. Always a pleasure. And yeah, man, ready to go.
Yeah, 6 years ago today, you were complaining. It was the 1-year anniversary of Italy losing versus Sweden. So you were complaining, and that was probably the Adriano rant of these first 247 episodes. It's an absolute classic. We might have to find the video and post it, but yeah. So 7 years ago today was when Italy lost versus Sweden. We'll talk some Italy later. It's been a lot more positive since then. Not so positive for Roma. It feels like, Gianni, every week we're talking about it. Last week you talked about Juric, who already was their second coach this season. You've talked about it. It feels like Napoli last year, who went through three coaches. Who was it? They started with Garcia, and then they went to Mazzari, and then it was Calzona. Was that it when Napoli last year?
Yep.
And then now Roma, De Rossi, Juric, and Ranieri. So it's just all over the place. You got a club legend and a player. Juric comes in out of nowhere, and then you got a club legend as a coach. But I don't know. How do you feel about this whole situation, Gianni?
Honestly speaking, whatever at this point, just to stop the leak, stop what's the problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just need something to. We just need something to be fixed. We need something to work. That's what we need here. We need something to work. So hopefully Claudio comes in, helps makes things better. But honestly speaking, I think he just steers the course. I think he just maintains Roma into Serie A and then just look into next year to see what they can do. I think that's basic. I think everyone is just frustrated and checked out for the season. I feel like the spirit's not there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I've seen he's pretty much just there until June, just until the summertime, until the summer, and then they can get a new coach next year. I think. Listen, it's unfortunate. It's something that I know, Johnny, you spoke about last week, and just even in previous episodes, that it's something that you didn't want, kind of a repeat of what Napoli went through last year, in terms of the coaching carousel, 3 coaches in a calendar year. It's and even dating back to even Mourinho, right? Like the whole Mourinho thing, and then from De Rossi, Juric, and now Claudio Ranieri for another time at Roma. But is there anything to salvage, or is it all lost? Is it all too late to salvage anything for this season, in your opinion?
Honestly speaking, I think it's just there's nothing to salvage. I think the only thing that you can salvage is 8th place. That's about it, really. I think at this point the damage is done. We're almost at the halfway point of the season, and it's tough. Like you're 12 games in out of 19 out of the first half. Like it's a third of the season's gone. Like I know I said halfway, but a third of the season's gone. So it's not looking good. It's honestly not. I honestly don't think it's that's the best you can do. 8th place. And that's even me being super optimistic. I think the best thing that you want from this kind of situation is just to keep the team afloat into Serie A. That's it.
I think I don't know if anybody has the table up, but where are they, like 5 points away from relegation spot right now?
They are, I have it open, they're 12th.
Yeah, they're in 12th.
Yeah, and they're technically 4 points away from relegation because
4 points, okay.
Yeah, because of the brain no work. 18th place has 9 points.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see them being risked to go down. There's a lot of bad teams in the Serie A, like Lecce as well. They just fired Luca Gotti. They brought in Marco Giampaolo, another of Calcio Guys legends, legendary coaches that we absolutely love to talk about.
Legends.
Marco Giampaolo. Lecce is a team that they want to salvage their season and stay in Serie A. They're at 9 points. They're in 18th place. So you know what, for Roma, I don't think it's a matter of relegation at this point. Obviously, I think the management probably has that in the back of their mind. Like for every team at the start of the season, relegation is a possibility, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're only 5 points above the safety zone, 4 points, it's there. But because there's that cushion of 6 other teams in between them, like it helps. On the flip side, they're 4 points above 18th place, but they're 5 points behind Milan in 7th place. So, they're a bit of a weird, in a weird state where if they could go on a run of like 4 or 5 wins, they could, launch themselves back into, European race again. That's probably not the goal at this point.
Big if. It's a big if.
No,
it's a big if. Sure. I think if anything, like I don't know if I asked you the question, Johnny, if anything's salvageable, just because they're also still in Europe with the Europa League. Now I'm just curious. I just wonder how Ranieri is gonna kind of pick his cards and play them in these competitions. Like I don't know if in your opinion, Johnny, if Europa League is anything, is that lost already, or is that something to maybe even?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that's lost. I mean, like you could explore your options there and maybe try out for something there, because the league right now, you're just trying to stay afloat as much as you can.
Yeah,
I know it sucks to sound doom and gloom, but it's like there are some players that are still in it, like El Shaarawy is still playing with all his heart and everything, but it's also tough, like to rally a group right now, given how they're performing in the league, to be like, hey, you know what? I think trying to sell them on the league into getting into a European spot might be tough, but I think you would have an easier time selling them on trying to win the Europa. I think that's where you would probably get them to collectively be like, you know what, fine, let's go for it. I think that's what you have to, I don't say, I guess, bargain with. That's your bargaining chip for that season. And if there's a guy who's good at getting the players to rally around him or believe in something, it's Ranieri. Ranieri, I think, is that kind of guy,
especially in Rome.
Yeah, especially in Rome.
Yeah, because this is actually his third stint now as Roma manager. He was there 2009, 2011, and then 2019. 2019, he replaced, was it Di Francesco at the time? Right?
Sounds like
I
it.
believe so.
Yeah, because
he rode the ship. He rode the ship there too. He saved, like he, was that caretaker coach.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, to end the season there too. If I remember.
Yeah, I have to look at his record at that point. I know he wasn't there for long. He came in on March 8th, and in 12 games, 6 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses. So, like it was fine, for a caretaker job. I wonder if that's what Rome was hoping to go for, kind of that, just above 500 kind of record, or around 500. But it's interesting. Johnny, did you think with Juric fired, they were going to go, like, do you think Ranieri was their first choice, or do you think they wanted
he came out of retirement. He came out of retirement to do this.
He came out of retirement,
right? So he wasn't even, in my opinion, I don't even think he was in the limelight, in the cards of choosing, like, and expecting a guy like him to come out of retirement and coach. But I don't know. Sorry, John. I didn't want to cut you off. He's like, he came out of retirement.
No, it's the option that they're basically lucky to have, that they're blessed, that they're essentially like, okay, well, Ranieri's probably going to do it for almost next to nothing because it's Claudio, right? He's a Roma legend. I think that's why they did it. It was more of like they took advantage of a guy who's willing to take a team cut. It was a costly, effective method. It wasn't. It wasn't because he was the best possible option. It's because, like, okay, well, the best possible option is going to cost us a lot of money right now. We're already paying for the salaries of Mourinho and now of Juric that you're going to have to pay for the season. At this point, it's like, well, let's cut our losses while we can. We can't have 3 managers on the books. So I think that's honestly what it is to me. They're taking advantage of a man who would bleed and die for this club. That's what it is.
and he's a Romano, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
He's Roman born. So, I guess, even though it wasn't maybe on the radar, I guess, it does make sense. And if you want to call it sense in this crazy world of Serie A, but I saw somewhere this morning, actually, on I think it was on Opta on Twitter, a stat that winning percentage wise, he's third behind Spalletti, and I don't remember the other name in terms of winning percentage at Roma. So is Claudio Ranieri. So listen, the numbers are, I guess, there if you want to call it that, but we all know this is just a caretaker bandage solution until the summertime. I don't see it going past that. I think the Friedkins really need to retool, reorganize themselves and really look out for a proper target come the summertime and really take this Roma side to a level that not only they want to get to, but I think that the fans deserve. It's been a long time since Roma's done much noise in terms of in the league and obviously in Europe. So and the fans are frustrated. You see it. You see the posts. You see the clips. Not only in our backyard here in Montreal or in North American cultural fans, but over there in Rome, they're frustrated. You like I said, you see all the posts, you see the clips, you see the hardcore tifosi, stopping the players at their cars and trying to get an explanation from Mancini, from Pellegrini, from Salamakers, from this guy, from that guy. It's just crazy. So I guess they're lucky, like you said, Johnny, to have Ranieri in their back pocket to kind of pull out that wild card and kind of use it at any time. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm really interested to see how he balances, because they're still in 3 competitions. As shitty as this season has gone for Roma, they're still in 3 competitions, right? In terms of playing for the league, obviously not winning it, but playing for some sort of pride in the league, in Europa League, and obviously still in Coppa Italia. So I'm curious to see how that pans out for Ranieri and Roma, and I guess like we always say, only time will tell.
Agreed.
Guys, City is funny because I was just looking back, some managerial changes this season. There's been 3 firings, and 2 of them are from the same team, and the other one was the other day with Lecce. But I was looking back at the firings last year. There's a lot more last year, even at this point. A year ago on 4 January. So actually November 14th. So we're recording this on the 13th. On the 14th was when Rudy Garcia got fired. And that was already the 5th. That was the 4th firing of the season. And there were, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 14, 15 firings in total last season. Salernitana had 4.
Wow.
4 different coaches.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense that they got relegated.
Of course, yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
So this is typical City.
None of our predictions were correct in terms of who was the first firing. I just want to put that out there. We all didn't think it was going to be De Rossi. So
yeah. But actually, I'm curious though if I mentioned that it was did I say that? I don't think I did say De Rossi. I probably said something.
Go in the chat. You have it pinned. it's there.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
there. I don't remember who we said, but
let's actually take a look because
I think I said Di Francesco. I think I said
Di Francesco makes sense.
I thought it was going to be him, if I'm not mistaken.
I said De Versa. Adriano said Di Francesco, and Johnny said Palladino, which that seems like
it's definitely not the one.
Yeah.
Nostradamus didn't get it this time.
No, not this time. My Como pick isn't looking too great either right now either, but
there's still a lot of time to to catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's enough with Roma. But guys, we want to look at City match day 12, last one before this international break. Yeah. What kind of led to the firing was the Bologna-Roma game. Bologna, I want to talk about them because they've been hot. They, it feels like they started off slow with the Italiano coming in, and that happens. And we kind of expected this, right? Especially with the players that they lost, they lose their coach, they bring in a new coach, but they've been getting better. They still have, I think, just 1 point in the Champions League. They lost to a late goal against Monaco last time out. It just seems like they're on track.
They were doing so well too. It was unfortunate
in the game. Yeah,
it was a 1-0, right?
Yeah, it was 1-0. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it seems like they're probably going to be one of the, what is it, 8 teams eliminated, but
Yeah.
maybe they could pull off some magic in these last couple of games in the Champions League. But City, they beat Roma 3-2. They beat Lecce 1-0. They beat Cagliari 2-0. They tied Genoa. They tied Parma. They tied Atalanta, and they haven't lost in Serie A since they lost. This can't be correct. Since they lost to Napoli on August 25th.
No, you're missing a game, and they're guaranteed.
They have one loss all season.
That's it.
This is a shock to me. It feels like they were doing so much worse. They had a lot of draws. They have 6 draws and only 4 wins.
Okay.
But they're in 8th place, 18th point, so tie with Milan. Guys, that's actually a shock to me. One loss for one.
First reaction, shock. Shock because
wow, one loss, and only Inter and Fiorentina have one loss on the season, and Juve has none in Serie A. So that's actually good for them. So look, their slow start was just draws, but anyways, Orsolini, he's been scoring goals. Did he get called up? I forget if he got called. Did not. Of course, he didn't get called up to the national team because why would we need goals? Why would we need good players? Anyways,
save that for later.
Is you guys think is Bologna? I wouldn't say back to what they were, but would you consider them really one of the top teams in the Serie A again? Like almost like a threat. Let's say Milan plays Bologna or Juve plays Bologna. Do we think this is okay? This is gonna be a tough game. It's not a pushover. This is not a pushover game anymore. Because I think this personally, I think they're they got the gears going.
Yeah,
they're not going to qualify for Champions League again. Most likely not. But I think this is a team. If Saputo invests properly and they get good players over the years, they could almost become like an Atalanta where they're building through the youth. They're qualifying for Europa League. Obviously, Atalanta's on another level.
They're eating the cats.
Yeah. What?
No, because you're like they're doing this, they're doing that. My computer lagged a bit, so I wanted to. My joke.
They're eating the cats.
Yeah, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
But even like a Fiorentina, look, Fiorentina's in 3rd place right now. Maybe that's like a blueprint they're following. Hey, they hired Fiorentina's old coach, so it's interesting what a team could do with money too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, I think I know Italiano gets a lot of hate, and especially on his Fiorentina days, everybody was like, F this Italiano ball. It's overhyped. It's overrated. That's fine. I still think he's a good coach that can give you results. It's a shame. I think in the big matches he still lacks, but it was going to always be an interesting one for this Bologna after last season. We all knew it after their big guns left. The Calafioris, the Xerxes of the world, and obviously their maestro in terms of Motta leaving too. Was always going to be tough. We said it, and we don't want to beat that dead horse anymore. But bringing in Italiano, which I think for him, getting this experience in Champions League in Europe, and on other fronts, it was positive. It was a leap from Fiorentina to Bologna. As much as that is weird to say, it's on this one-off season that seems to be more of a jump. But listen, I think he's slowly but surely getting these core groups of players together, and they're providing results. Did I think they would have only one loss in the season? No, but those draws kind of weigh heavy, I think, in that record, and it's a bit saturated. Obviously they still have the game in hand with Milan's game in hand as well. That game that got postponed. So we'll see when that comes to be played, but. I don't know, Listen, it's always a tricky one with Bologna. I don't think they're going to get to the level of Atalanta. No, could they be on that Fiorentina level that every season they kind of poke that the European spots? Maybe, but it all depends on from up top. If Saputo's smart, he put some extra money in there because we all know he has the money, to invest properly. But it has to be smart business, how much do they really want to care? Because listen, at the end of the day, having the Italian Canadian influence in the Serie A is huge for us, obviously. And you want to compare it to, the Fiorentinas of the world. They have that Italian American influence with Rocco Commisso, and even Atalanta having some, American influence as well. So it's something that these projects have to be, it's not an overnight thing. These are projects that are going to take, a while. And I saw even plans of, Bologna trying to get their stadium, renovated and upgraded and modernized. These are small steps, that can take this club into, a right direction to maybe, yes, hey, compete with, the Seven Sisters of Serie A. So we'll see. Again, I don't know if it's next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line. We'll have to see. But it's an interesting project in a an underrated city in Bologna. That doesn't get maybe the spotlight that other cities do. But listen, I think they're not quite there yet, but I think if they continue to build, like you were saying, Nick, I think they can have a blueprint of trying to find success not only in the league but also in Europe, and push the Italian game even further.
You have anything to add, Jenny?
No, Adri said it best. I honestly wouldn't. It does come down to the North American side of like willing to see if it's worth the investment or not. Which we kind of complain because it feels like he's kind of split in between both.
Yeah.
He doesn't really fully commit to one or the other. Mm-hmm. And if we're up to me, I think he should honestly just commit to one. Like it's nice for him to have that connection between Montreal and Italy, because we benefited so much from it from the past. It was an easy doorway for players like Di Vaio, for Nesta to come along, even some European. It's not even like bigger names, but like even some like Matteo Ferrari and stuff. It's like, oh, it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And then there's stuff like that helps open the door up a bit for like Didier Drogba and stuff, because players talk and helps build a reputation around it. So it's nice. We benefit from that, but it feels like as if right now, for example, like he's focusing more on Bologna but neglecting the impact, like in their MLS record. I know we're talking about Serie A, but it's hard to not talk about Montreal when we're from Montreal, and Bologna technically relates to Montreal because of the same ownership. So, and it's frustrating as a fan because it's like, well, when your owner doesn't seem like to be invested in your team, then why should I myself as a fan be invested in that team as well? If my owner is not taking care of it, why should I care? Mm-hmm. So that's what it has to come down to. It's either he, like you could still be an owner, but maybe designate it to like a subsidiary, or like have somebody else run the show in Bologna, and then you take care of the impact, or vice versa. At least, like at least you can have that. So at least like both teams are getting the love. And if you need to fund, just have the other guy run the team and just be like, yep, whenever you need a paycheck or whatever, just let me know, I'll write the numbers, or whatever needs to be paid, just let me know, but I'll take care of this, you take care of that. But it doesn't seem like it, right? So you have to ask for smart ownership. Who the fuck's getting that in Montreal over here? Smart ownership, right? Exactly. But that's the only thing I'll add to it. Really, is just more of the MLS side of things, where it's like, it sucks as a fan of CF Montreal, because you just feel like as if you're being neglected now, and I think the fans are starting to see that.
Yeah, I think we could do a whole podcast on that and just rant about the glory days of CF Montreal when Saputo was actually involved, and now he's not, and there's no more glory days, and it feels like they sell players every season. But anyways, I digress. Orsolini, he's actually scored in 5 straight games in Serie A that he's played in. Well, that the team's played in. The only game he hasn't scored was the game they didn't play against Milan. So
I think he scored 2. What is it? 2. He scored 2 braces in that period, I believe. No.
No,
he scored 2.
One.
Just one.
One.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Each game. Last game he got an extra assist. But that's
okay.
it. Yeah. Looking at the other games, I know Adri. This game against Cagliari for Milan was just wild.
Crazy.
3, and it's a game that obviously Milan should win, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't, and it just feels like they almost turned the page, right? And then it's almost a step back with this game. And it's funny, what was it? Fonseca said games against Cagliari are harder than games against Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder I didn't see the full context of that quote, but I could guess he meant more like it's tough to go away to Cali and play these games, right?
Yeah,
Get motivated for these type of games. Is that it? Did you hear the context?
For me, as we all know, I mean, in Serie A, it's such a defensive tactic league that it's crazy to think, but it's hard to break down some of these bottom feeder teams that play a low block, that don't give you any space, that don't make you breathe, that you can't pick your way through. So I think that's kind of how he wanted to phrase it, in at least in my opinion. Milan fans can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's crazy to me. Like, last episode I told you guys we gave our kind of like our predictions for how the Italian teams will do in Europe for the last match day in Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. And I said it. I didn't think Milan had any hope in winning against Real Madrid, especially at the Bernabeu. It was going to be always tough, and it was a shocking surprise and a delightful one. Obviously, we got the victory, and a big one at that. 3-1 is nothing to, especially at Madrid, is nothing to just kind of pass off. So that was a huge result. But then you turn that page and you go to the weekend on Saturday, and it's a 3-3, just wild, fiasco of a game against Cagliari. It's like you can't catch a break with this team. So for me, it's unacceptable, because you want to be competitive in the league. You want to be, in Champions League. You want to aim for a Scudetto, and these are the results you're getting. It's not good enough. It's unfortunate, but it's just not good enough. You have a lead, you can't hold it. You can't. For once, we can score. Leao scoring 2 goals is a breath of fresh air, because we've been dying for him to get back on the score. Get on the goal scoring sheet. So his brace was obviously exciting. We saw the debut of Camarda, 16 years young. The youngest Milan player to debut in Serie A, and I think I want to say the youngest Italian, but again, don't quote me because I don't remember. But beating Donnarumma, who when he debuted, it was like something that we never seen before. Rest in peace, Mihajlovic, to give Donnarumma that chance. Fonseca giving Camarda this chance at 16 years old, which I think he had a pretty decent showing in terms of what cards he was dealt in this game. But it's just this defense that I don't understand what the hell the problem is. They let a guy like Gabriele Zappa. This guy, he zappas in fucking Sardinia, zap, and he scores 2 wonder goals against Milan. It's only against Milan that this stuff happens. It's ridiculous. Now, it's that's what frustrates me. But listen, there's no other way to really describe this game. But it was a wild one, and some good performances individually, but as a collective, you need to be better. And it's this defense, like I said, Emerson Royale. He's not even. I don't know. Like, he's a pylon on that right flank. He's useless. So, Tomori, Teo Hernandez, even obviously he's our I think arguably one of the best in the world at his position, but on his off day, he's shocking. So. It needs to be better, and listen, let's hope after this international break it starts on a better path. But who do we have coming out of the break is Juventus. So it's not going to get any easier. This is a team that needs to get together, collectively, and really put up these good results, because it's really tight at the top. I think it's. What is it? From 1 to 6, it's 2-point difference, if I'm not mistaken, or 1 to 7, it's 2-point difference. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Napoli 26, Atalanta 25, Fiorentina 25, Inter 25, Lazio 25, Juventus 24. So this is the tightest it's been, obviously all season.
All season, and in a while, I think we haven't seen something like this.
Yeah.
This is we always won a competitive, Scudetto race and top 4 and Europa, whatever. but battle for Europe. But this is crazy in terms of all the major leagues. The Serie A is the tightest. Is people are going to say the best in that case,
But it is though.
But it is, yeah. There you go.
Like I don't know what the Prem's talking about. Like
it's crazy. Like
it's going to get down to the wire. I think at the end of the season, it's definitely going to be down to the wire. I think it stays like this for the whole year. I don't think there's going to be any one of these teams just like blowing it out of the water proportionally, because it just seems like every time there's a team. Sorry for interrupting, AG, but it just seems like every time there's a team that's about to have a chance to like give themselves a big substantial lead, they have a biscotto of a game. Like they just. Like they just draw. It's just like nobody's gaining any ground. And then the two teams that drew, the team that's behind them won the game to catch up, to make up for that gap.
Exactly.
Like when Inter and Juve drew, Napoli won that game. But then afterwards, like when Napoli played Atalanta won that crucial game to get them back up there. And then Napoli, Inter play each other, they draw, and then Juve wins. Like it's no team is really like taking a true advantage of like developing any type of lead that they get.
I think that we saw Napoli obviously having that bit of the lead, and it's a great point that you make, Johnny, because I was going to get to that as well. But they had that lead, and everybody, I don't know about everybody, but a lot of people thought this is going to be, wow, Napoli's gaining steam. They're really going. They have one game a week. Conte, Lukaku, Kvaratskhelia is playing out of his mind. They're going to go on this crazy run, and one slip up, or maybe two if you want to count the game over the weekend in terms of the draw against Inter. Even though I guess you'll take the point, but I think the bigger one was the Atalanta loss, like you mentioned. But it takes these 1-2 slip ups to have this race even tighter than it is. So as a Milan fan looking kind of outside in, and I know we have that game in hand against Bologna that we don't know when the hell it's going to be fucking replayed. It shouldn't have even been postponed, but I'm not going to get heated over that. It's going to take a lot, because you have 6 teams ahead of you that you need to have at least half of them to slip up somewhere for you to kind of gain your position into that top four race. So it's these results against these small teams that you should be picking up the win. And again, no disrespect, but you need to win. And you get a draw, 1 point out of 3. For me, it's basically a loss. You lose. Yes, on the points, okay, yeah, you got a point +1, blah blah blah, but it's a loss at the end of the day, because you need to gain as maximum amount of points to get back into this race of you want to say the Scudetto, top 4, whatever you want to call it, but it's those ones that cause these rants and whatnot for Milan fans. So, listen, I don't think it's all lost. I think it's going to be hard for all of these teams to fall, kind of like we set up for Roma. Like, yeah, okay, they need to string 3, 4, 5 games, 3, 4, or 5 wins in quick succession for them to gain position, but they have to hope also if that team's ahead of them kind of fall as well. So it's a numbers game. It's a real crazy Serie A, like we always say, and I'm here for it. We're here for it for sure. But for Milan's sake, I'm just hoping out of this international break, we start kind of gaining some ground, because there was a bit of stretch that they were kind of gaining some ground. They kind of lost it for a bit. I thought that result against Madrid was gonna be a leapfrog to to end this month and with the month of October off on the right foot, and before getting to this international break be on a good winning streak. But it's these Cagliaris, it's these Parmas, it's these these Lecces of the world, these Genoas that kind of ruin those plans. So I'm hopeful for Milan coming out of the international break. It's obviously going to be a big one for not only the teams playing, but for us here at the Calcio Guys. Myself and Nick, it's always a good battle, but we'll see. We're going to have to wait and see. And hopefully Leao, I think, is back. Hopefully Leao is back. I think, in terms of his, mental and his performance, I think those 2 goals he needed desperately, because he looked good against Madrid. Obviously didn't get the goal, but was very influential in terms of getting help create in that final third, how be present and have a big game. So if our top players can be at their best and their defense shores up a bit, I think Milan can go on a bit of a run and compete against the top six currently in Serie A.
Other games, match day 12. It started off with 2-1-1 draws, Genoa, Como, Lecce, Empoli. But Fiorentina pulled off 3-1 win against Verona. We talked about Fiorentina. It's funny. So they're in third place right now, tied for third. They're also tied for third in goals for. Only Inter and Atalanta have more goals for than them. They're at 25 goals for, and they're tied for third in least goals against. Only Napoli and Juve have allowed less goals. Empoli actually is at 10 goals. Empoli is weird. They have 10 goals against, but only 9 goals for. And Napoli is also strange because compared to the other teams in the top 7, they have the least amount of goals for at 19. So it'll be interesting, does that even out over time? But at the end of the day, all you need to do is win 1-0, right?
Yep.
This is Conte. He's not winning games 3-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I grew up being a diehard Bruins fan in the trap system. I don't care if you're scoring 1-goal games or 2-goal games. If you win a championship with it, I don't care. Bring it all day, every day.
Yeah, Allegri special.
Yeah, corto muso. Corto.
That's all you need. You need just to be just a nose ahead, just a nose ahead. The horse just needs to be that.
Domani, no.
Just a bit.
Exactly, guys.